Okay, now we'll just do a little bit of work on the pop-up technique. So obviously the pop-up technique is going to start with our posture as before. So as we're paddling into the wave, we're going to have that good posture of knees engaged in the board, chest engaged in the board, and obviously we'll be paddling. I'm going to simulate paddling with fairly straight arms, which is more realistic, although obviously that you get a different angle. So with a simulated paddle here, I'm just about to go into a pop-up. And there we are, straight up, and I'm looking out into the distance. Now we'll break that down. So what we're doing is, the first thing is, on a shortboard, this is simulating where my feet would really be on my shortboard. They may be a little bit further forward here, but regardless, my feet are not on the board, on a shortboard. So there's no way my feet can push into the ground like this to help me in any way. Now you can do that on a longer board, but it's better to learn the technique to not use your feet. Now I'll show you why. Because when you use your feet to pop up, you've now got a bridge off your feet. Well, how are you going to get your feet underneath you now? You can do that, I suppose, but it's much easier if you come off your knees and they can flick in like this. So, and remember that once you go to a shorter board, this won't even be an option because your feet won't be on the back of the board. So the other thing to really avoid getting into the habit of, and I really think from day one, it's better not to fall into the habit of either of these two techniques, which I'll now demonstrate. One is the pulling the back foot up first, like this and like that. It really is too slow to be functional, and also has a lot of influence on the weight distribution of the board. As you put the first back foot up, you're going to get a lot of weight on the tail, which tends to make you fall off the back of the wave. So it's better to really never fall into these bad habits. The other one is to sort of a combination of that, where people sort of pull their front knee up first like this, and then try and get up like that. Feet are in completely the wrong position, and it just takes far too long. So this is really something that if you're struggling with pop-ups, you just need to practice the correct techniques and get it good, because you can't be blowing waves by not being able to do a pop-up. It really is, you've done so much hard work to get to the point of the wave where you're going to do the pop-up. You can't afford to blow it. So a few little technical things that can make the rotation easier. At the moment I've got my hands fairly square across the board. If you put your leading hand a bit forward and your backhand a little bit back, so obviously when I come into my natural stance, my hands will be slightly like this. So if we start with them splayed a little bit like that, you will find you can rotate, your shoulders have already got a little bit of rotation as you're doing the pop-up, and it will significantly change the amount of angle you have as you put your feet on the deck. So that's the first thing. You may have to obviously work on some stuff to get board control being slightly off centre, but realistically it's not such a problem. So that does make it a little bit easier. The next thing is we're going to bridge off the knees, and actually I'm going to bridge up like this. The pelvis is going to come back, the knees are going to flick in like this, and at that point I'll pop up off the knees and the knees will fly in underneath me like this in one seamless motion, as I will demonstrate just now. So if I was going to simulate paddle, and now just straight up off the knees, I'll show you that in slow-mo as well. But the main thing is that it's all off the knees and in one motion up. Legs, the forelegs come forward, which gives you that little bit of forward momentum, and then they flick underneath. So if these are my legs like that, and they come underneath you like this. And it really is that easy. Now also I'm looking out into the distance, forehand this way, backhand that way, never looking down. So when you're practicing your pop-ups, never check your foot position until the end of the routine, after you've stood in a proper stance for quite some time, because otherwise the last thing you want to do is learn and start looking down there. You're never going to be looking at your feet during surfing under any circumstances. The vision is always going to be out into the distance there. So again, off my knees, bit of simulated paddling. My hands are slightly off centre, which is allowing already my Shoulders just have a little bit of rotation before I even start. And straight off the knees. Again, it's got to be, you can at certain waves you're going to have preloaded a little bit to get into the wave, but still off the knees like that. Feet have never touched the ground. So I'm not putting them down like this and bridging up this way. I'm getting in the bridge like that. And then from this position, actually using my torso to just pop my knees up like that. But obviously in one motion it becomes much easier. You can you can break down the motions to simulate each little part, but you'll find when it all flows together, it really is quite straightforward. So there we go. Good pop-ups.